Up until recently, it was thought by scientists that the brain cells you were born with was all you got. We now know that simply isn't true. This is exciting news for those who have had brain injuries or surgery or some neurological conditions. Hi, my name is Mary Bourne. I'm a traditional naturopath, and I love sharing natural remedies with people for better health. Here with me today is my good friend and neighbor, Kim.
Hello.
And we're very excited about this subject. In fact, I'm going to spend the whole month of October talking about brain health because I think it is absolutely the most important thing we can talk about right now in the way things are. In fact, according to the Alzheimer's Association, every 65 seconds, someone in the United States is diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. These can be daunting statistics if you still adhere to the fact that we don't get any more brain cells than the one we're born with. And there are a lot of doctors that still talk about the genetic influences of Alzheimer's when we know in fact that only 10% of genetics actually impact what will happen to us as individuals. What we do, what our lifestyle, the way we think, the way we eat, is a much more impact than we ever thought. So I want to talk with you about a brilliant doctor. His name is Dr. Daniel Amen. He wrote the book, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. And this was written in the late 1990s, I think in 1998 actually, and published in 1999. And at this time of this book, he had written several other books and was globally known as a brilliant psychiatrist. And he developed what was called the SPECT scans, and I'll show you in a little bit what that is. And during this time, he, because this is what he was taught, worked with medications and drugs to create change in the brain. And he could actually quantify that change through these SPECT scans. So in 2004, I believe, he came and spoke with us at the National Convention for Nature Sunshine. And he had changed his tune, so to speak, because he spoke of the story. He was sitting in church with his family, and his son was being very disruptive. And people are turning around looking at him, and he says, oh my God, here I am, a world-renowned psychiatrist, and I can't even help my son keep calm for the short amount of time that's necessary in church. And so the next day he took him in and he took a SPECT scan of his son's brain and went, oh my goodness, it's misfiring here, it's underfiring here, and look at the inflammation has created damage here. And he knew what to do medically, but he said, I do not want to give this medication to my son because I know the downfall of medications and the ramifications that will occur if I give it to him, and especially in his young body. So he researched and he did a lot, and he realized there was a lot of natural help out there that medical doctors are just not privy to. So he started to give his son these supplements and saw a huge improvement, and then redid his SPECT scan and was just amazed. So since then, he's created his own line of supplements. You know how that goes. And, so it just goes to show you that there are some wonderful natural helpers out there that is just not being told often enough. So this is what a SPECT scan looks like. And you can see the difference between this, I'll go over here, this brain, which is the normal brain, and this brain, which is the Alzheimer or dementia brain. And all the crags and openings and holes and that. Now he has another one that shows a dark picture with misfiring, but you get the idea from this how smooth it can be and how craggly it can be when there is inflammation and damage done to the brain. So Dr. Amen does checkup scans, like I said, after he has implemented a protocol. And now it's mostly nutrition, but there's a lot of other things that he talks about. And I love the saying he has that you can have a better brain even if you've been bad to it. Because you know what? When we're teens, we think we're invincible and we eat junk. And you know what? We need to recoup from that, because those injuries show up 20 years later. And then it impacts, where did I leave my key? Where's my car? You know? And so here's the definition between Alzheimer's and just forgetfulness. Is like, where did I leave my keys? And you find your keys and you know what to do with them. Alzheimer's is you look at them, you don't know what they are, and you have no clue at what to do with them. So that's the difference between the two. So his number one favorite food for the brain is omega-3, both EPA and DHA, but he concentrates on DHA because DHA is the brain oil that gets the brain going. And in most every case, he has found that there is a severe deficiency in omega-3 essential fatty acids. Because why? In this country, we have been told fat-free for 30 years. It is no wonder we're seeing Alzheimer's and diabetes off the charts, because we adhere to the stupid pyramid diet, which has grain at the base of it. Well, now, of course, they've changed it. It's difficult to read. Nobody can understand whatever the dietitians are telling us now is the favorite thing to eat. But here's the thing. You want to make sure that you're getting 6 to 8 servings of veggies every single day, and a variety of colors is the best thing, because each one has antioxidants that favor that color. And you want to have 4 to 6 servings of fruit each day. Now, what's a serving? Half a cup. Half a cup is considered a serving. So you did not get diabetes from fruit. You got it from those donuts, the cake, the pastries, the whatever we're fueling our body with and destroying our brain cells. So when cows went from grass-fed to grain-fed, our ability to get omega-3 plummeted. Grass-fed beef is one of the best ways you can get omega-3. Now, I'm not talking an 8-ounce steak. I'm talking 3 ounces is all you need of good, healthy protein to support better health. So this was in the 1960s when the farmers switched to grain-fed. Now, unfortunately, they're being fed corn that's genetically modified, and that is going into the tissues of the animals that, both cows and chickens and whatever, even farm-raised fish. And so we're getting some of that genetically modified glyphosate-filled food, which is no wonder we have epidemics of Alzheimer's and dementia. So we want to make sure that we're getting some good grass-fed beef or some other way, supplement with omega-3 essential fatty acids, which is very anti-inflammatory for the brain. So during this same period, 1960s, and that processed food was at an all-time high. We were able to get TV dinners. We ate TV dinners while we watched TV and the news, and every blood shot they could give us, So it wasn't about good news. So The other thing that was introduced at this time was margarine. Oh my goodness. Talk about a gasoline, petroleum-based plastic. It's margarine. So margarine is totally not healthy for us. We do not want to eat margarine. We want to eat butter that is grass-fed. There's some wonderful Irish butter at Costco that my husband and I love, and it's full of omega-3 essential fatty acids. Ghee, organic ghee, is another source of good. Coconut oil is not an omega-3, but it is very beneficial for the brain. So the American Dietetic Association gets their manuals and their information for their classes from industry. It's from the Dairy Association. So they push what is good for the economy, not what is good for our health. So we need good fats, and we've been told for decades that fat-free or low-fat is the way to go. And I look high and low for high-fat yogurt, and it's very difficult to find. Most of it is low-fat, and I like eating yogurt on occasion because of the probiotics. I don't depend on them for my probiotics. I take additional probiotics, but your food should be your base. So there are really only three things that the taste buds recognize as tasting good, and that's fat, it's sugar, and it's salt. And we've been told don't eat salt. But if you eat real salt or Celtic salt, that is a full mineral salt and much better for you. Yes, do not eat Morton table salt because it's iodized. It is disruptive for the thyroid because it has chlorine in it, and so it does not support thyroid health. It actually antagonizes it. So it's very important. They're finding that a little bit of salt during to salt your food is actually beneficial if you're using a good salt. It actually helps the adrenals, it helps the thyroid, so your whole endocrine system can benefit, and it actually can lower blood pressure. So it's like ridiculous. So if anything, people need to make sure that they're not eating grains, that they lessen their grain intake, because there's been so much irritable bowel and gut disturbances because of our grains. Now there's good grains. There's millet. There's quinoa. There are some good ancient grains that are beneficial, and even some rice people can do well with. So this week, as I do every Monday, I send out an herbal e-gram, and this week the topic was about turmeric and curcumin. And you can find that on my website, bornforhealth.com. You just look over on the newsletter and it will be there. Or if you would like it delivered to your inbox, just simply send me an email, drmary@bornforhealth.com, and I'll be happy to send that to you. So in this week's electronic news, I spoke about the value of this wonderful spice and how it's the most studied of all the herbs by the scientific community. You know, it takes 17 years, that's what they've decided, 17 years between what the scientific community quantifies as realistic and important and the medical community to implement it. Holy mackerel, that's a teenage lifetime. and the public suffers because of this. You talk to your doctor, make sure your doctor knows. Your doctor hasn't a clue. His wife probably knows more about nutrition than he does. He's so busy doing his thing and reading up as much as he can on his medical journals that he doesn't have time to learn about nutrition. So the two supplements that my husband and I take on a regular basis are omega-3 and turmeric. Turmeric, curcumin, to stop inflammation, because as you age, you get more inflamed for some reason. We have toxins that we breathe in and consume, even though we try very hard not to. They're there. The omega, of course, we need as much brain health as we can as we progress in age to support good brain function. So the other thing that Dr. Amen talks about is a good full spectrum B supplement. And I like the supplement called Nutricom. I've talked about it before in other videos. And these can be found on my website under Herb Encyclopedia. So anything I talk about, you can get more information just by going to bornforhealth.com and looking up Herb Encyclopedia. So if you just jot the name down, don't try and frantically write everything I say about it, you will understand how important this particular B vitamin is, because it has these wonderful nervine herbs that support the nervous system and calm it down and nourish it. So thanks, Kirk, for watching. So some of the herbs in here are lemon bioflavonoids along with bee pollen, and these bee pollen is actually an excellent source of protein for those people who are strict vegetarians. So you can check that information out. If you have a personal thing that you want to talk to me about, send me an email, drmary@bornforhealth.com, and I'll be happy to help you with that, give you some guidance, send you some research. So some herbs that support good brain health are ginkgo gotukola, bacopa, and lecithin. I love the product called Brain Protects with huperzine. Dr. Amen talks about huperzine a lot. So this product also is one that I take. Let me see if I can, there we go. And it is very beneficial in helping support the brain. If you've had stroke, it actually was formulated to support the brain in reconnecting, and we're going to talk about that next week, where it's called Neuroplasticity, where the brain can find new connections to create the same objective. So that's a really exciting science. I mean, it's probably one of the top scientific studies happening right now is in neuroplasticity. So another very important vitamin is vitamin D3. Here in the Midwest, we're edging toward our shorter days and longer nights, and we are not exposed to the sun, and when we are, we're fully covered, and so we're not really getting much of vitamin D from our sun. And so one of the things that I really, really love is Elderberry D3 Fence, because I can get my D3 and support my immune system. So let me just tell you a little bit about two of the major herbs that are in it, elderberry and olive leaf. Elderberry has been studied to stave off influenza A and B, which contribute to the most flu outbreaks in this country. Olive leaf has been shown as a potent antioxidant, antimicrobial, and anti-inflammatory support to combat infectious diseases. So why is that important for the brain? Well, infections can enter the brain and contribute to inflammation. If you get an antibiotic and the real problem is a virus, you can actually increase the virus's ability to spread and cause more damage. So keeping the brain free of infections is optimum for good brain health. So here's an excerpt from the Merck Manual, which is used by doctors. It's their Bible, so to speak. So infections of the brain can be caused by viruses, bacteria, fungi, or occasionally protozoa and parasites. So parasites won't come into the brain unless there's damaged tissue. You know, flies won't come to a pristine garbage pail. They'll only come to a garbage pail that's got garbage in it. So that's the same thing that happens in our brain and in our body. So certain drugs, like cancer drugs, can actually contribute to meningitis, according to the CDC. Now, meningitis is inflammation of the lining of the brain and the spinal cord. And so you want to make sure that your body doesn't breed infections. And most of us, unfortunately, are dealing with low-grade infections at all the time. And the only time you actually know you have an infection is when it has mounted to the point where it creates symptoms. So it doesn't, you can be asymptomatic and still be dealing with infections, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, how did that happen? Well, that's because stress. You get a stressful situation and you're dealing with low-grade infections, and bingo, you've got yourself an infection that is really difficult to deal with. So I always err on the side of a stitch in time saves nine type of philosophy. So when you take, certain drugs like cancer drugs will actually participate in this meningitis. So we want to make sure that we're taking something on a daily basis. I start taking it early in September, and I go all the Elderberry Defense all the way through April. And then I will take like olive leaf or something like that. But elderberry and olive leaf combination is my go-to for the winter, and sometimes I just take 2 a day, and that's perfectly enough. If I feel like I've been exposed to something, I will take 2 twice a day, and it's rare when I'm sick. So the whole month of October, we're going to be focusing on brain health and how we can make it the best you can be. Optimal brain health, is the utmost important. If your brain isn't healthy, nothing else really feels good. So next week I will be focusing on how we can expand the ability for neuroplasticity. And this again is the process where we create new pathways. And there's some really wonderful teachings out there from some very intelligent, well-spoken doctors, and I'm so excited. In fact, I just did a summit on brain health, and I'm really excited to share that information with you. So here are your action steps for the week. You pick a supplement that will stave off infections so that your brain can be healthier. Make sure you're drinking half your body weight in ounces of water on a daily basis, and that you're getting 8 hours of good uninterrupted sleep. If that isn't something that happens on a regular basis, it may be because your brain doesn't have the nutrients it needs to shut down and let this happen. So omega-3 is really, really important for stopping that firing that occurs. And there are also other herbs like passion flower that shuts the noise off. Sometimes this thing goes round and round and we end up with cycles in our brain. So do some research, look up on my website of different supplements, and get more knowledgeable about natural remedies that can really benefit your health. Share what you've learned and recommend these videos to other people. I do this on YouTube as well, and so if people are not on Facebook and you'd like to share the information with you, I'd be happy to share the link. It's also on my website. As soon as you come onto the website, it talks about classes in my calendar, and there's the link right there for the YouTube videos that I've done. So keep focusing on gratitude, be thankful for the people, and give some nature around you, the flowers and all the joy that we have in this world. And thank you for viewing, and until next week, this is Dr. Mary for the Health of It.